Hello, welcome in. This is Cleo and I'm back. I've been missing you guys, so I hope you're all doing really well. I've been doing some top secret shenanigans, but I've been dying to get back here and do a reading for you. Now, I've been told that this one is going to be a chosen one extravaganza, so looks like you've got some victory on your plate. And I'm just going to get on with it and see what the spirit realm, what the higher beings want us to know. Thank you for all your lovely comments, likes and subscriptions. And thank you for being part of the Loot Lounge, where we make all our dreams come true and create our own realities. So let's see what's cooking. I'm going to shuffle and we're going to look into your ship of dreams. Where's your ship heading? How you've been doing and where you're going next. Show me. Okay. Page of Swords here, the Child of Challenges. You've earned this one is what I'm getting, okay? Now, I don't read reversals, but they're telling me that was double strength. You've been putting in double strength into something. And you've been faced with something. I'm hearing, you really earned this one and you've put twice as much strength into this than you ever thought you'd need to. However, you are nearing the end of this road in a really beautiful way. Death energy transformation here. And what I'm getting from this energy is that you've really kind of learnt to embrace your shadow. You've really learnt to be a true warrior. And you knew that to be as strong as you needed to be, you had to also embrace your dark side and use it for good with good, beautiful intentions behind every action and every move you make. So you can see here, the tenderness you've got in you with the wolf on this card. But, you've really fired up your root chakra. With this black shuck, it's a wolf, out in the forest alone, hunting, being instinctive, you've really honed your instincts and really lined up your chakras in a way that embraces that primal side that, we were given to protect ourselves, but also to fight when we need to fight. So that's really beautiful here. I'm getting that is your greatest tactic, your strongest element. Is that you've learned that you don't have to be all sweetness and light all the time. And in fact, if you are too soft and too lighthearted and too nice to everyone, there's a time and a place to flow and be harmonic and stuff. But if you like it too much and at the wrong times, things don't work properly. So the universe taught you and, you embraced your shadow side. You embraced the gift of your shadow. Whilst going through some sort of challenge, and I can see that you had, your naivety tested. I'm hearing innocence lost. So you saw the gritty underbelly of the world and you saw how people are. And, maybe you had people respond to you in a strange way, even though, you're kind. I'm getting you're a light worker, starseed, chosen one. You're very kind and you're here to sort of spread your blossoms. You can see these beautiful flowers here. I'm getting the word primrose coming through for somebody here. You're here to spread your magic, but to do that, you had to get gritty. You had to let people know, you better respect me, and if you don't, I'm not going to be there for you. Perhaps it was that. There's something about respect here and realizing that people don't really respect you when you're all sweetness and light. You need to have the pillar of mercy, that kindness and that giving and that generous nature and that beautiful golden heart of yours. But you also need to have your armor on. The full armor of God includes the ability to fight back and to assert yourself out in the universe. And the universe has responded to you in a great and magnanimous way because I feel like you put your foot down at some point. You drew a line in the sand and you thought, no, I'm not going to let you walk all over me. This could be in any situation in your life. We have to learn, they're giving me 5 of Wands, 5 of Swords energies. If we want to create our own realities, we've got to embrace our shadow. So now this is your strongest tactic, saying no, being assertive when you need to, speaking up for yourself, but also knowing, when to keep your cards close to your chest, not let people know what you're thinking, and, when to understand that everyone's got a shadow side. So even those people that seem all sweetness and light and, we're all spiritual and we're all lovely here. Yeah, I'm not saying people aren't spiritual and lovely, but even those ones that seem the loveliest, there's 2 ends to every stick. There's 2 sides to every coin. So you learned, okay, no matter how nice people are, they've all got a shadow and they're not afraid to use it. And neither are you. So that's beautiful. And yours is particularly strong because you're balanced in your nature. And your intentions are always to raise yourself up higher and higher and higher and get closer and closer to God or to source energy, to raise your frequency, to tune your consciousness in an upright manner where, you just expand your consciousness, you gather information, you turn lead into gold with your focus, you hold things in your mind in a beautiful way, and your perspective is very valuable, I'm getting. You're a great transformer of energy, so you can hold something in your mind that may have been a stagnant concept in a society for a long time, but you see it differently. And when you hold that concept in your mind and you understand it and you love it via your understanding, whether you feel loving thoughts towards the idea or not is not the point, but it's the understanding. Love is understanding. You shift the entire quantum field. So you're very valuable. Okay, I'm getting light worker, shadow worker. You could have been a priest in another life, a sacred priest, part of a sect, or, I don't want to say cult. That's not really a creed. You could have been part of some sort of very sacred, very honorable creed. So this comes naturally to you nowadays in your current chapter, in your current incarnation. It's very natural to you to align with the compass of the heart and always do what is honorable and just. And you're very respectful and you expect respect back. That's a key word in this reading, respect. Okay, so, it's all very well for people to love you or for people to be nice to you, but do they respect you? That's a key question in this reading. Show me more. Oh, one at a time, please. The Huntsman. There we go. And this is all about justice, okay? Number 11. And they're telling me, strength and justice often are reversed in decks, meaning they're interchangeable. Number 8 and number 11 are balancing numbers. So you are definitely a balancer in this realm. And they want you to know that one who is in alignment is worth billions who are not. And your presence in this hemisphere, they're saying there's something about hemisphere here, so that word could mean something to you. Your presence in this realm, in this stratosphere, in this paradigm, in this server, you may see life as a game and you're a great player in it, but your presence is very valued and you bring a lot of balance to the forest of life. And you found this beautiful balance within yourself that no one can mess with anymore. I'm getting no one can mess with you. You're realizing that to be chosen, you have to have the yin and the yang. You have to have, everything balanced, the hemispheres of your brain, the psychic part, the logical part, the loving part, but also the defensive part, the pillar of mercy and the pillar of severity. So you've learnt to have thick walls, not impenetrable, but it's up to you who gets through the door. So yeah, your walls should be impenetrable actually, but you're not like you shut people out. You've just got really good boundaries now, nice thick boundaries, because the more you value yourself, the more careful you are about who you get close to and who you allow to influence your reality, your precious reality that you're creating. And the way you create reality, it sets off these dominoes, these invisible butterflies. It's like cause and effect. The things you do help meter out justice further than your eye can see. This goes all around the world and then some. So you're a great and wonderful chosen one is what I'm getting. And you're very fair and you're very just and you're very honest. And this is going to pay off in dividends, I'm getting here. Suspension. This is the Hanged Man. Following on, and I'm getting this is a newfound status in you, this huntsman kind of energy, huntswoman, the hunter in you is fresh and ready for more, ready for a new chapter, ready to find a target and go after it with this newfound vision. It's like this beautiful new mindscape you've got now, and you've waited quite a while and you've done your gestating in the cosmic womb. This is amber. This is you being crystallized and rehardened and reformed and into more than the sum of your previous parts. So you're being reborn at the moment. And I feel like you've been very patient and you've learned so many lessons when it comes to the challenges you were faced with here. Things that made you think long and deep and hard about maybe human nature or the state of things. Because to be as just as you are and as balanced as you are, and someone who sets things off that will have an infinite effect on many people's worlds, but, you know, particularly this world, you will have a long-lasting effect on it. I meant to say people's lives. You know, you affect people's lives and you impact people's lives in ways that you don't always see. But, you know, you've got this faith and you know when you're aligned, and you know when your energy is having this beautiful, just and magical effect on people. And you're very patient. I love this level of maturity and patience. And there's a beauty to the way you can be so patient for so many years and wait for so long for the right thing to come along. You don't just jump at the wrong opportunities, much like the hunter. If you let that arrow go at the wrong moment, you miss the meat, right? So you're very good at waiting for the right opportunity, being very patient in that forest, listening and feeling and intuiting your way through hazardous scenarios. So I'm getting you're very valuable when you're around a lot of things that to others may seem really hazardous. To you, with your skill set, you render them obsolete, you render them irrelevant. They can't harm you because you're so attuned to the golden frequency and flavor of the divine realm. You're a master at this. You're a master at maneuvering through this forest of life and finding the bliss and the bounty and the beauty in all things. 9 of Spells here. Beautiful. Okay, very defensive again. And we've got the Page of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. I'm going to pull one of these and we're going to see what comes out here. I feel like you've been holding your positioning so well for so long. I've got a message from the divine. We are cheering you on every step of the way. We are with you. Okay. So, you know, this is gorgeous. On the bottom, we've got when you trust in the divine higher worlds, you connect and become that energy. So you're someone who brings higher energy through your chakras, through your energy field onto this plane, which is why you're so valuable and why the divine wants you to know that, you know, they really appreciate your patience here, and they really appreciate the fact that you've been I won't say sat, but you've been holding your position in such a dignified, patient and mature way that they're so grateful for. They're saying without you, the world would look very differently in 10 years or so. Okay, this cause and effect thing. You know, they're saying when we put one master, chosen one on the planet, it has an effect on so many people and so many timelines like you would not imagine. We do have the 3 of Cups here, indicating to me that there's a big celebration brewing in your life. Perhaps you're aware of this. Perhaps you can feel the tingles of anticipation. Perhaps you can feel something brewing with that expert kind of third eye, pineal kind of acumen that you've maybe discovered in yourself or developed within yourself through many lifetimes. This isn't just, you know, your first rodeo. You've really tuned to such a masterful level here. I was about to say lever. So it could be that, you know, you tuning to this masterful level will put you in a position very soon where you've got to push the button and take a big action in your life, or pull the lever, or lever, as we would say in England. But, you know, for now, you're holding your position with the 9 of Wands, 9 of Spells. You know that your magic is powerful, and to make the wrong move at the wrong time would give you a completely different result. So what you're doing is you're holding your positioning very patiently and I'm getting indignation here. You know, dignity born of indignation, you know, so it's almost like you know your value and you're just not going to dip your toe into stagnant pools of water. You're going to wait for the crisp, fresh, beautiful signs that a situation is ready for you or is made for you. And I'm getting that is coming in for you with the 3 of Visions, which is the 3 of Cups. So your heart holds the vision here. Your beautiful golden heart, your powerful, ancient heart, I'm getting, holds this vision. And that vision is so beautiful and so powerful. They want you to know that, you know, when one person does it properly, you light up the whole world. And they're saying, you know, there could be billions of people following, you know, chasing their tails or following the wrong signs. But we put you here for a reason, they're saying. And we're with you every step of the way, seeing through your eyes and, you know, really supporting you. So you could feel those energies coming in from the divine. I'm getting Sekhmet is, you know, with you as well through your fights and battles, helping you kind of tune in and really, you know, having your back energetically in certain scenarios. And throughout your entire pathway, I'm getting you've got this ancient support. Okay, so Sekhmet could mean something to you. We've got the Keeper of Challenges here. So this is your upgrade, but this is also an energy that's going to be joining you. Okay, so this could be an ally. You know, you're reaching this level of supreme mastery of the mind. It's absolutely beautiful. They're saying the movie Inception could mean something to you. This idea of the all is the mind is all, and you're very aware of your power when it comes to every action you take being done in honor, devotion, and respect. And you know that that has to bring you a beautiful pathway and, you know, help other people while you're doing it. Anything we do in the energy of respect and devotion and honor, in the upright, you know, looking up to higher powers and, you know, kneeling before these higher powers. You could be someone who kneels a lot, or maybe you kneel when you meditate. There's something about you really looking up to the right beings, the ones with the glowing golden hearts and the wisdom. And again, that word acumen coming up. So you could be writing something here with this King of Swords energy. Something's fixed in place for you, okay? An ally coming in. This could be a soul group member, someone you've worked with in the past. And we've got the 10 of Pentacles here. So this could be about your work. And again, I'm getting that you're creating something perhaps. This could just be the life you're creating, or it could be that you're writing something, creating a business. This could be to do with music, anything, you know, that you love to do, that you want to monetize. This is a big thumbs up from the universe here with the 10 of Pentacles. And I do feel like this lovely friend of yours who you've known in multiple lifetimes is going to be joining you on your pathway. They want me to grab one more for this. But your eyes are on the target, and the spirit realm, the divine realm, wants you to know that this is something they want you to do, and it will bring you great abundance. Again, defensiveness with the 7 of spells, 9 of spells. That's the 9 of wands and the 7 of wands. And we so often see them coming out on the table together in tarot readings, suggesting to me that, you know, this is that line in the sand I spoke of earlier, that you know who you are. You've built your fortress. You know your power. You're this wonderful dragon here. And you could have a lot of people wanting to, you know, maybe not use your power, but that is essentially, you know, how it goes. When people see you've got this much power, there will be a lot of people who maybe want to be involved in a project of yours or something like that. But what I'm getting is there's this one ally here who is right, you know, for being your ally, for discussing your plans with, for working with, and they won't want to steal any of your glory or even share in any of your glory. They're just someone who really respects you, and I'm getting adores you on certain levels. This doesn't have to be romantic, though it could be. I'm getting, you know, there's going to be this beautiful connection coming in. Someone who just knows you so well at a very deep core level, and they also are held in high regard by the divine realm. The divine wants you to be very, very careful with the devil card here, known as the liar. All right, card number 15. The number 15 could be important. I'm getting an imbalance. Watch out for those imbalanced people. And I feel like, you know, you will feel it. But there's some people out there who, they're very good at catching you when you're in a good mood, and, you know, maybe getting you in a position where it's hard to say no because you've been getting along with them or something like that. The divine wants you to be very, very aware of being polite to the wrong people, if that makes sense. Because sometimes, you know, in society, when we're just talking to someone, it's so easy for someone to say to us, oh, maybe I could read that manuscript, and it's hard for us to say no, right? So they're saying, make sure, you know, you really are armored up for the next leg of your journey, because we do have this big energy that may come in and try to test you here, just as things start to get smooth and just as you start to know yourself. Different levels, different devils. All right, 9 of Pentacles here as well on the table, and the 4 of spells, which is the 4 of wands. So you want to stick to this pathway that's very merry and light-hearted, but be aware that when you shine this brightly, there are always new ones coming in to test you. Even when you feel like, God, didn't I just get rid of that one? Didn't I just assert myself to the universe? They're saying yes, but because you're chosen, you will still get those sneaky souls in. And it could be that someone puts you in an awkward position socially where you feel like you can't say no to them because they know someone or something like that. Some sort of social stigma or social pressure, I feel like, could be put upon you. So they're saying, get ahead of the game with this. Pre-pave it. If you listen to Abraham, you'll know what I mean by that. Think of solutions ahead of the game. So, polite ways of saying no, for example, could save you a lot of hassle down the road if you just think, if someone does sort of tempt me, because that's what the devil is, a tempter. If someone does tempt me to maybe be too nice and maybe share my ideas or my secret plans with them, I want to kind of they could be an eavesdropper. You could be out at a party or something talking to your friend and someone could overhear you or act like they're part of the conversation. There's something like that going on here, and Spirit wants you to have your armor on and be very aware of who to include. This one wise friend I'm getting is the one you can trust, someone very old school, someone very ancient, someone very kind of reserved and dignified and stuff. Be aware that you really don't want to share too much about this project or this next phase of your life with anyone but this one trusted person, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to notice your shine, notice that, in their mind, you're kind of moving up in the world, although our souls are always precious and valuable no matter what. But you know what it's like in the earth plane. They're going to notice something is shifting here. So Spirit's saying, don't let them put you in any kind of awkward scenario when you've got this clear-cut, bright pathway that you're moving onto. And, there could be someone who pops up who tests your ability to engage your shadow and be like, you know what? I didn't ask you to join in this conversation, and I actually think you're very rude. You might be in a position where you can't actually say that, and you're thinking, oh, God damn it, have I gone back to my old ways of being too nice? Spirit doesn't want you to do that. You just have to think of ways to politely extricate yourself from that scenario, to politely kind of give them the cold shoulder ahead of time, and things will go a lot more smoothly for you if you do. Let's have a look at this child of challenges. Show me, please, Spirit. The star, there we go. You always knew you were destined for something great, big, bountiful and beautiful. And, your pathway's lighting up for you. You are lighting up, and you didn't pick an easy one. Backstage before you incarnated here, you didn't think, I'm just going to come in and mill around. No. You knew it would be a thinker, and I feel like you've done your thinking now, and you've kind of designed yourself, or you've morphed, or you've transformed into this wonderful being. And the star's here to confirm that you were always following your own guidance system. And it's beautiful, it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, we've got the 3 of Wands and the 2 of Pentacles right here on the Strength card. So there was a lot of umming and ahhing for you when it came to actually sticking with one path and knowing yourself. And I'm kind of hearing chuckles here, like the little thought pathways we have to go through. And people only see the result, don't they? But it's like you had to go down here and find this bit of yourself and go up here and find this, sort of like a labyrinth you had to go through to find this powerful version of yourself. And it would be hard to explain to people, is what I'm getting now. And your spirit guides are saying, don't worry, we understand. It would be really hard to explain to anyone on the earth plane, but we understand what you've been through and what it's taken to hone yourself into this marvelous being. They're saying, we're not going to let anything get in your way. No devil, no liar, no tempter, no charmer, no wolf in sheep's clothing is going to get in your way, okay? Because we're with you. And when you get that weird, eerie feeling, don't be afraid to be like, nah, you know what, I can't share this. Sorry, but this is actually private. You got to be ready for those sort of encounters. Despite the fact that you've reached this wonderful level, they're still out there, okay? They're just still out there. We've got the white rose here with the Fool card. So this is so beautiful coming up on this Death card. You're transforming in the most beautiful way. Your universe, your physical reality is going to give you signs that, there's fresh growth. There's this big fresh pathway. And often when we've lived as many lives as you've lived and gained that much information, it can feel like we've sort of come to the end of a corridor and like, what am I going to do now? Do I know too much? Have I seen too much? But this is reassurance that this next pathway with this new version of yourself, this honed and chiseled version of you, is going to be fresh and new and wonderful. And you are illuminated on the cosmic stage. You're very aware of the mechanisms and the way things work now. And you can go forward with this freshness and know that there's always more to learn and more to do and more things to get you invigorated. So I feel like, you know, whatever kept your mind engaged in this last chapter, you're kind of, you know, you're kind of closing that book, and you're kind of like moving forward now with the bounty of that knowledge, and you're summing it up in a beautiful way that you can take forward with you and start to do things in a fresh way again. And, you know, I'm seeing you stepping up and feeling confident, stepping up onto this new plateau. And it's really lovely. And I feel like you know, you're going to be a real go-getter in this next phase. And I feel like maybe the last phase you were gaining spiritual knowledge and really thinking and holding ideas in your mind and really musing on things and wanting to get things right and wondering what rightness even is, you know, all of those deep and lovely subjects. And now you know yourself well enough to sort of go forward and really manifest something big and beautiful with the 10 of Pentacle, I was about to say. So look out for words with an O on the end. Yeah, Spirit's really enthusiastic for your next leg of the journey. The 10 of Pentacles, knowing what we're most passionate about so we can take it forward and manifest it. This is about making it real in the next phase. They're saying in the next segment. See, this is a whole new segment, and there we go. There's that 5 of Swords. You've learned who you are through those battles and all that thinking you've done. And all the people you've come up against before. They're saying, you know, at this level, they might be a bit more charming, you know, and a bit less brash, but they're still out there. They'll be fewer in number, but because you are chosen, you're always going to have these people to deal with, but they're going to have less of an effect on you. This one's not going to bother you too much because you're ahead of the game by watching this reading. But they don't want anything messing with this big, beautiful project of yours or this new chapter of your life where you are going to be harvesting lots of abundance. And I'm seeing an egg cracking open here. So this is something you've sat on for a while. This is something that's really means a lot to you, and you've really kind of put a lot into this, and they don't want anyone ruining it. So they're saying just because, you know, you're on this new pathway, please just be aware that, you know, your armor may have to take on different forms. You know, armor's not always obviously defensive, but, you know, sometimes you have to be charming and smooth and play the game at the level you find yourself at. You know, if you're around charmers who are devilish, then you too may have to be harmonic and rather, you know, you might have to pick up different tactics when it comes to these souls, these spirits who are opportunists, let's say that. And someone just could have an instinct about how great this is going to be, and you don't want them wiggling into it, you know. Only this one trusted person will do is what I'm getting here. There we go. There's that victory. And I did see this on the pre-shuffle. 6 of Wands. All your waiting is going to pay off. And it's not just waiting. That sort of sounds like you've been doing nothing. This is you really doing the hanged man's job of really submitting yourself to the divine and really feeling your mind shift in multiple different ways before you've clicked into gear with these energies up here. So that's really beautiful to see. Show me. Keeper of Challenges. Ace of Pentacles. So this is a new friendship, but it has deep roots is what I'm getting. And you'll feel that, okay? Someone with a like mind, someone with a soul that really, you know, is rare to come across. It's rare to come across someone who matches you as well as this person. So you will notice them, and it will be very smooth and very harmonic. And there's a lot of respect in this connection. And I feel like they will be a trusted, maybe not an ally or a mentor. There could be some mentoring involved, or just someone you can throw ideas at, or, you know, bounce your ideas off of, and they're going to make you feel recognized, understood and valued, and they're going to match your intellect, which I feel like is going to be such a relief for you after, you know, the previous chapter where maybe you were more alone, or maybe, you know, you just kept your ideas to yourself more. This person's going to really be someone you can trust. A sacred circle I'm getting. You've been part of a sacred circle before. You can really trust this person. They're just naturally what you would expect an adult to be. You know, you can talk to them about anything. They won't go rabbiting or chatting or gossiping about what you've told them. They're just someone who really is the epitome of an adult, a grown adult. Okay, so you're going to feel quite refreshed by this person. I can feel their energy. It's very grounded and yet very wise. There's a softness in the mindset of this person in terms of the way they flow with the etheric realm, but they're also very practical and they don't have anything to prove. And you guys have spent a lot of time together in previous incarnations. I feel like they could have been part of this creed that you were part of in the past, and you keep bumping into each other. So you're going to feel this great familiarity. So this is the end of any disappointments or heartbreaks or things that make you go, ouch. You know, this 3 of Swords is turning into the 3 of Cups. So I do feel like, you know, your heart has paid a great toll to be where you are. Maybe there were sacrifices you had to make or people you had to let go, particularly with this 5 of Swords we see up here. Oh, ouch. You know, this hasn't been the easiest pathway up till now, but it's been very rewarding. And I feel like socially you're going to be rewarded in this next phase, even though, you know, this previous one was more about you finding out who you are and not sticking too much to any kind of group or person. But now I feel like with the 10 of Pentacles being such a big family, soul group, unity, I'm getting the word unity coming through, something unified that you can share with others, warmth glowing off of this card. I feel like this is your phase to really kind of come into connections you can trust. All right, connections you can trust. But they're saying, you know, your armor may have to shape shift a little bit. You know, you have to kind of get ready for these different realms and these different pathways. Although yours is, you know, lighting up beautifully, but there are going to be different energies that you're going to have to get used to, and they could fight very differently or come up against you in a very different way to what you're used to in your previous chapter. And I'm also getting in previous incarnations. That's giving me the word previous incarnation. So this could be someone you've dealt with before, and they might sort of get the hairs on your back standing up. They might kind of get your back up and make you feel a little bit off. So they're saying trust that feeling, okay, and find ways to kind of dodge this person. Yeah. 9 of Wands, a big defensive ring around you to protect you from this devil. It's showing up twice for a reason. Okay, so you could be retested to recognize something you've dealt with before in a new format. Okay, so you've dealt with devils before being chosen and being so elevated in your consciousness, but this is going to be the devil wearing a different outfit and using different tactics. Okay, no big deal for you. They just want you to know this project is so important that they have to make you aware that there could be very subtle saboteurs, people who might even trick you for a little while. So they're saying trust that niggle. There would be no niggly feeling. There would be no weird. It's going to be subtle, but you're going to have a vibe about this devil animal. Why am I saying that? They could hide their shadow. Excusez-moi. They could hide their shadow very well, and they could have a way, quite a hypnotic way, of making you say things you don't want to say when you're relaxed. Maybe you're out with a friend, and they kind of maybe have a way of kind of pulling energy out of you that you don't want them to know about, and you wish you didn't say it. Like, you know, maybe arranging a date with them or arranging to talk to them about your project. And then you're like, oh, sugar, I shouldn't have done that, right? So they want you to be very aware to keep this project wrapped up under lock and key. And there will be one trusted one who eventually you can share it with. And they're not going to be pushy, and they're not going to ask you for anything. They're going to be so relaxed. The one you can trust will be really relaxed. And, you know, we do like to share things with others when something means a lot to us. It's our nature to want to talk about it. They're saying just talk to this right one about it, okay? Because you could be tested to see if you've really learnt your lessons when it comes to dealing with these devils. Only this devil is a sneakier devil. So do be careful, okay? This is like Dodging Devils Volume 2. Only this time it won't bother you so much because you've learnt so much, all right? So they don't want to overemphasize this one, but they also don't want to underemphasize this one. Just be aware, they're saying, because, you know, you're very important to them and they're with you. So trust the feeling that the divine gives you when it comes to the people coming into your life during this next phase, because, you know, you could be more enthusiastic than you realize, and you could shock yourself, your level of enthusiasm. Show me. 10 of Pentacles. Woo, there we go. Laughing all the way to the vault is what I'm getting here. The spiritual vault, the loot lounge vault. This is you, you know, manifesting in your personal reality the money you might need financially, but also that beautiful feeling, being on the right level of the mind. And, you know, it really could be a book you're writing. something cool, they're really getting in my voice tonight, something that means a lot to your heart, something you've mastered, and you're putting it into the physical realm. Again, this is something that will affect the world in a divine way with the Hierophant energy, and you've played by the rules, so you know the divine rules. So this is going to be so beautiful for you. I'm hearing the word jolly coming through, so this is going to make you really happy, which is why they want you to be so happy and really enjoy this, but they want you to be aware that that's when they come in. All right, just when you're relaxing, just when you don't expect them to pop up, because you feel, well, I'm on a good frequency, you know, I'm not going to attract any bad people in. They're the last thing on your mind when you're happy and you're just relaxing and you feel like you're in the loot lounge, you're in the heavenly realms of achievement. That's when they pop up. So, you know, have those tactics ready to be like, you know what, I'm just really busy or whatever, you know. This one's going to be sneaky, but you're sneakier. All right, you've got to kind of play them at their own game. All right, there could be something like that where, you know, don't be afraid to hold your cards back. Don't be afraid to kind of be a little bit devious or, you know, lie to this person. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to tell them everything. You don't have to be honest with them. All that matters is you create the reality you need to create. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. 3 of Cups again on the 9 of Pentacles. So your joy is going to be overflowing and you will be sharing it with others. And, you know, there could be a bit of envy coming at you. So just a weather warning there to keep this line drawn. You know, lots of people who see how powerful you are and how magical you are. You're up on this pedestal of life. And that's when all of a sudden they find you so very interesting. But you know who you are is what the divine is saying. Show me this 7 of Spells, 7 of Wands, Master, Manifester, 6 of Cups energy. So be able to differentiate between the soul group members. You know, soulmates can be friends, family. I call them soul group. And they just really want you dealing with the ones you've known in previous lives who are definitely heart chakra activated. No narcissists allowed at your table. Okay, but you will, you know, you've dealt with a few, I'm getting. But this time around, they're a little bit sneakier and a little bit maybe more powerful. Maybe they've got money. Maybe they're, you know, friends with people who will somehow be around you, but they're saying, you know, for you, only let the real ones into this star circle. You know, you might have to deal with people on one level. You see how there are 2 circles around this star? It might be unavoidable. You know, maybe you're at a family party, or maybe it's, you know, a sibling's wife or husband, something like that. So they're going to be slightly in a circle, I'm getting, but they're not allowed to get into the next circle in. You've got to keep yourself really fortified here, and you can play that game very well. You know, you found your own solutions, you found your own potions. This represents your consciousness right here, and you're very balanced right now. So this is about you hitting that target, holding your mind in the aesthetic you want it to be in. So this is about tuning your mind to that feeling you want to make more of, and not letting anyone water that down or taint it with their energy. Trust the energies you feel, and trust the ones who are coming in, or the one who's coming in from your past. There could be more with the 6 of Cups, because there are 6 lovely cups on this card, but they're saying soul group only, because, you know, you just don't want to take certain people with you. But there is a wonderful one coming in, if not more. All right, this project has the green light from the divine. They're with you every step of the way, and your path looks so beautiful and glorious and shiny. I love this. You've done so well. Yay, hip hip hooray. They're cheering you on. Remember, they're there with you, and I love you loads. I hope this reading's helped. Mwah.